Welcome to Star Citizen and the ship guide to the Aegis Sabre Raven. In this modular guide, we go into detail about one of the most exclusive and no longer available ships in the verse, the EMP interceptor from Aegis, the Sabre Raven. The Raven was presented for the first time at CitizenCon 2017 in Frankfurt, where holders of a golden ticket, so very early backers of the Kickstarter campaign, received a Sabre Raven as a gift on site. In cooperation with Intel, this exclusive ship was also offered in conjunction with the purchase of an Intel Optane SSD, which was only available for a few years. Moreover, the price of an Optane SSD was exorbitantly high at the time. And there have been no other purchase options since then. Currently, only the route via the grey market should be treated with caution, especially since the prices here are atopically high at over $1,000 for these ships. An upgrade or in-game purchase is also not possible. And that makes the Aegis Sabre Raven one of the most exclusive and rarest ships in Star Citizen. But let's take a look at whether the Raven is worth it. And as in every guide, you can jump directly to the parts that are of interest to you or which you would like to see again, using the timestamps in the video. But first of all, a big thank you to the real ladies and gentlemen who make this video possible, with their support as Patreons, channel members or Twitch subscribers. Thank you! We start with the exterior and the technical data. The interior is omitted as this is a cockpit-only ship. We will then go into the Raven's operational purposes, whereby only combat is currently being considered here and the interior or cargo hold is not available. Classified as an interceptor, the Raven offers similar dimensions to its relatives from the Saber series and also offers very similar values in other respects. The combat speed of 206 meters per second and the max speed of 1235 meters per second are in the midfield. With size 2, the Raven still belongs to the small ships and mainly offers stealth components. For direct combat, we recommend switching to purely military components as soon as possible. This stealth interceptor does not offer any amenities or even a cargo hold, which currently only allows it to be used in combat. As mentioned, the exclusive Raven can be purchased neither in the game nor in the PledgeStore. Only completely overpriced offers on the grey market currently lead to this high-tech interceptor. The Raven only offers space for the pilot and has no multi-crew capacity. There are no amenities, but the Raven hides a rare extra. This blue fighter has two Tromac burst EMP generators, which together provide 2700 distortion damage every 12 seconds. The ship's armament also consists of two Side 3 fixed laser cannons, which in combination with the EMP are quite sufficient for most enemies. The EMP is not interchangeable and we would recommend laser cannons anyway. Identically, the damage of the EMP is not included in the damage calculation. And the look of the Raven offers not only high-tech, but also clean lines and a unique flair. However, in contrast to its Saber relatives, the Raven loses the possibility of retractable wings after the wing construction is fixed on the Raven. So visually, despite many similarities, the Raven does offer some unique features. In the interior, we find a typically Aegis functional and tidy cockpit, with 4 MFDs as well as an ejection seat function. The overview is very good, with no disturbing struts interfering with the full glazing of the cockpit. The two size 2 EMP generators provide the maximum radius of 750 meter with a minimum radius of 150 meter. The charging time is 12 seconds and the cooldown time is also 12 seconds. And to use the EMP, we first have to activate the generators manually in the ship's systems. This gives us access to a total of 2700 distortion damage every 12 seconds, whereby the cooldown time of 12 seconds must also be taken into account for triggering. The EMP is ultimately activated via the ship's second weapon group. Now we come to the Sabre Raven's combat capabilities, which, to put it bluntly, offers a lot of potential, especially for more experienced pilots. For the use of the EMP, a suitable distance to the target is crucial, as well as a shield surface that are already down in order to be able to use the full effect of the electromagnetic pulse. If we have switched off the enemy shields and hit with the EMP from a short distance, we can deactivate the entire enemy ship for several seconds. In PvP, however, these times are all the shorter. In PvE, on the other hand, this offers a variety of possibilities, especially in the atmosphere, to use exciting alternatives to cause a planned accident to an opponent. However, as long as the shields of an enemy are active, the EMP only offers direct shield damage and has no effect on the components of the target. The damage here is rather manageable, but it is also one of the few ways of acting directly against several targets at the same time. Used correctly, however, we can render enemies up to and including hammerheads completely defenseless, at least temporarily, in order to then cause damage with our admittedly rather meager ship's armament. And if you are traveling in a group, an important warning: the EMP does not distinguish between friend and foe, which can lead to a crime set relatively quickly as soon as an NPC ship or other players are affected. Therefore, you should always think carefully before and when you detonate an EMP. From a distance of about 1 kilometer, you are then at a safe distance. The defensive capacities of the Raven with its 2 size 1 shield generators are only manageable, as it is hull armor, so you should rely on maneuverability and the element of surprise in combat. With the right use of the EMP, even larger enemies are no difficulty at all, since you can use your EMP against your targets every 24 seconds and thus use a clear damage bonus, especially against shields and systems. And this, also the comparatively weak armament with twice size 3 balances itself out somewhat. After a defenseless opponent without shields and without navigation can take a lot of damage very quickly even with this armament. And in this example, without an atmosphere to drag the enemy down, we can clearly see the effect of correctly placed EMP attacks. Due to the dual EMP generators, the Raven causes just as much distortion damage as size 4 generators, which, on the other hand, are in most cases only installed individually, as for example in a Vanguard Sentinel. And this also applies to the highly recommended Avenger Warlock, which can be recommended as an available alternative for combat with EMP generators. In conclusion, the Aegis Sabre Raven offers balanced firepower in combination with EMP capacities. The maneuverability and acceleration values are found in the range of the Saber series and offer a lot of potential in combat. However, the Raven is not overly powerful or without alternative, although we recommend the Avenger Warlock available in the game as well as in the PledgeStore here. But the Raven remains one of the rarest and most beautiful ships in the verse. In the atmosphere, the Raven flies similarly to its closer relatives and offers solid flight values. However, it cannot compete with light fighters. The acceleration values are good, whereby she remains mostly predictable and safe to control even at high speeds. Finally, the Raven serves as niche with its EMP capabilities and can bring its punch to the battlefield. The armament is sufficient here in combination. However, the absolutely exorbitant prices on the grey market are in no way to be recommended. Whereas a much cheaper Warlock has similar characteristics. In one sentence, the Raven is a very exclusive EMP interceptor. And for questions, hints, or a round together in the verse, feel free to check out the regular streams on Twitch or visit us in Discord. I say goodbye until next time. See you soon and see you in the verse.